Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin, and I'm a managing partner at 40 Capital. We specialize in very unique mathematical approach to the stock market. We basically calculate the stock market or individual stocks in three-dimensional space. And based on that, we're able to make very accurate forecasts in both time and price. If you're familiar, I believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish at Renaissance Technologies. Now, I can talk about it for days. What I'm going to do is I'm going to include a link to our work that summarizes our work, shows proof, so on and so forth. If you are so inclined to go down that rabbit hole, I do encourage you to click on that link and learn a little bit more about what we do. So today's very interesting. I wanted to pull up our oil forecast, crude light, and take another look just to kind of ascertain what's going on, given today's geopolitical situation. I wanted to make sure that our forecast hasn't changed. And it is also going to be very interesting to see how what's going on out in the world today impacts not only our forecast, but perhaps our forecast telling us what's going to happen over the next couple of months because um, the latest news is everything's fine. We have a ceasefire. The war is over. Trump was brilliant in executing this very dangerous strategy that he executed, but now everything's going to be fine. Well, unfortunately, our oil forecast doesn't necessarily agree with that assessment. What it shows actually, and before I jump into describing what our oil forecast shows, what you're seeing on the chart, if you're not familiar with our work, is up and down cycle composites, very similar to her cycles, if you're familiar with that. And what we found, this is only one of our timing indicators. We found over the years is that there are multiple cycle composites running in the stock market or individual stocks or commodities at any given time. And the bottoms are represented by one or multiple composites, as is the case here. We have an important bottom here, 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 and then we have one coming up here and here. And the tops are being set off by upper composites, as we call them. So it's somewhat a very easy illustration to kind of show you exactly what I mean. But behind the scenes, it's actually a bit more complicated because in order to ascertain the actual movements of what's coming up in any given particular financial instrument that we're looking at, we have to combine them. And in many cases, we have to combine multiples of them. Like, for example, in the Dow Jones, we have two upper cycle composites running at any given time and two down cycle composites running at any given time. But nevertheless, what we're looking at here is we're looking at a completion of a down move here and here. This chart needs to be updated. It hasn't been updated since the April low, but the April low is here. And what it's suggesting we're going to see next in this upper cycle composite is mid-cycle top. And this mid-cycle top is scheduled for, let's say, September 6th of 2025. Actually, it's not very accurate. We have another shorter term software, and that one indicates November 15th of 2025. Nevertheless, what it's showing or what it's telling us is that the bottom is most likely in. We've hit the bottom. And now crude light will have to increase into this juncture that is scheduled let's say November 15th plus minus 2 trading weeks associated with this time turning point that we have on the chart. So this time turning point is another timing variable that we use, that we calculate, that is not available anywhere else. And it has to do with cycle clusters. Cycle clusters are essentially cycles. Well, let me pause here. We have an ability basically to tell the software to go ahead and analyze all cycles present in this chart, which cycle worked and which cycles haven't, and then project them into the future. Now, what we found over the years is that when there's one or two cycles arriving at any given time, typically they will not cause any sort of volatility or change in trend. But if there are multiple cycles arriving at any given time, for example, at this juncture, we have 4 or 5 very powerful cycles arriving. It is very indicative of when the turning point is going to be. So that's why when we combine this time variable with this, then we get, let's say, November 15th of 2025. Now the question becomes, okay, so you're projecting that we've seen the bottom here, and you're projecting that oil is going to increase into November of 2025. Where is it going to top? So for that, we have to look at the other tool that we have. Once again, I've mentioned that we calculate the stock market in or other financial instruments in three-dimensional space. So if we look at this chart, that is telling us all possibilities of where the price is going to end up. Okay, so when we basically have to deal with this level and then subsequently these upper levels. Okay, this is a very common structure for important bottoms. We typically kind of see this diamond structure and then mid-cycle empty space. And what that typically means is that the in this particular case, oil will break above this level and will go on to this level. Okay. Um, so this level is, let's take a very quick look, is around, let's say, $95 to $100 range. So I think before I started recording this video, oil is sitting at about $65 a barrel. So essentially what it's saying, it's going to go here and eventually break it. Now, the question becomes, well, where is the next juncture? And the next juncture begins here at basically $160 or higher. And when we combine both variables, time and price, so in this case, let's say time, November 18th, or let's say November 15th, 2025, and this variable most likely to occur of $160, we get a hit at this particular juncture right here. So it could be 160, 170, 180. So there's a real possibility that oil will surge from where it is today, which is $65 a barrel, to $160 a barrel. And that would essentially mean there's no other possible explanation at this time that has to do with any sort of economic factors. The only explanation would be that the current ceasefire and the trouble that President Trump started in the Middle East will continue to get worse. Let's put it that way, and we will not see any sort of a peace, long-term peace in there until oil essentially tops out and that November juncture. So I just found it interesting. This has been our forecast for some time. It hasn't changed. I just wanted to kind of take a look and double check, considering everything what's going on in the world today, and give you this sort of analysis. So that's it for today. We'll be back with another update, another stock tomorrow, and hopefully have a wonderful day ahead. Bye-bye.